Good afternoon. I am here with Christian Schmidt from Adient, the winner of Rising Star of the Year in the supply chain category of automotive news. Very happy to have you, Christian, with us yet again at the Customs Compliance in Europe conference as a speaker. Of course, you spoke about two different but connected subjects yesterday and today, and your presentation received, I think, great reviews by the participants, and it was very interactive, lots of questions, a lot of discussion and participation by the audience. So could you summarize in a few sentences? You did a session yesterday on digitalization of internal processes, so could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, Alex. Thank you for the introduction. And also thanks for inviting me again for this interview and for speaking at your conference. My presentation, so I heard, as you said, two different presentations, but yesterday we were focusing on digitalization of customs services. I think no company wakes up at one day and says, let's go digital and everything is ready and prepared and they just click the button and it works. For me, it's a continuous improvement thing that needs to be considered here, and the companies should definitely focus on people. People needs to be developed, processes and software. And once that is really established in a way that makes a lot of sense, then the companies will definitely ask themselves about what can come next, how to further develop the organization, and how can technology improve the operations. And then I think the companies have a ton of options. There are so many great technologies out there, AI, blockchain, robotic process automation. And once you have processes in place and you use those kind of technologies, it will help you to be more efficient with your customs and trade compliance work. That was the topic yesterday. Today we spoke about data. And I think data is one of the fundamental things to apply automation and to become a digital company. When the data is not really working in a way that it makes sense, or when the data is not complete, then for sure it's complicated, right? So people have to have initiatives to improve their data. They need to figure out what kind of KPIs are important and how to get the data from the parties who are involved in the process.
Okay. And of course, during the panel discussion and other discussions over the 2 days, you do come across as a very strong advocate of automatization and implementation of various optimization methodologies internally. How would you describe the future of this process of quest for efficiency?
I think first of all, it was a really great debate that we had yesterday. And I totally get the point that people have different opinions when it comes to automation and technology. But no one can refuse the fact that technology will help. When you do something manually and you can do it automated in the future, that's for sure an improvement from an operational perspective. So everyone should agree with the fact that technology will help us to reach the next level of compliance and customs operation. And we also briefly spoke about trade compliance tech and how that would impact the future. And from my perspective, it's definitely a revolution of how we handle customs and trade compliance today. Technology will help us to be more efficient, to reduce workload, and to move things into an area where it makes sense and where people should focus on, right? We also discussed yesterday, based on automation, that we can eventually move things from a pre-transaction to a post-transaction perspective. And that also helps a lot to free up capacity to focus on new technologies. Companies should consider that from my perspective.
You've mentioned just now trade compliance tech, and from the discussions that we previously had, your organization, Adient, is one of the few companies at the very forefront of implementing these solutions. Are you in a position to talk a little bit about that?
I think a little bit, I can talk about it for sure. I mean, we are actually developing our own portal, our own platform, which will help us to digitalize customs work. We are not focusing on core competencies of software providers, because I think there are many software providers out there who are able to handle things super efficient, but we focus on the other stuff, incoming questions from the plants, and how can we track those stuff? How can we come up with a service from a digitalization perspective that helps people to get responses faster, right? So our own portal is for sure linked to that. It has automation, it has OCR for optical character recognition and those kind of stuff. Also machine learning plays a crucial role for us in the future at one day.
Well, talking about machine learning and input of data, we mentioned during the discussions that one of the biggest problems of machine learning and artificial intelligence is the input of data. How do you see the industry dealing with this problem?
I think it's a controversial discussion too. I mean, everyone complains that data is not in a shape that it allows you to do certain things. From my perspective, then the people should start focusing on data and how to improve it, right? And the other thing is, when it comes to technology, for sure we can say it might help or even not, but when people and companies don't try, they will probably never know. So what we have to allow here when it comes to using technologies, we have to allow people and companies to also do some failures here and there. But once they learn out of their failures, it will probably help them to further improve their processes once they reach the point where they accept technology. That's important.
Understood. Well, Christian, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for joining us again. And of course, we hope to continue working with you in the future and hearing you present on various topics in next year and other events. Thank you.
Happy to do so. Thank you, Alex.